Welcome to the JDS Philosophy mini lecture series. This is our 17th episode, and I am your host, as always, Jonas Spencer. It's a pleasure to be talking with you today, and today I wanted to expand on a concept that my followers on Facebook got a taste of yesterday. Uh, I had posted an essay yesterday regarding actually a band I really enjoy uh, that I hadn't listened to in a while. And the reason I had brought them up is because there was a specific title of one of their songs that I was listening to yesterday. And truth be told, I can't tell you how many years it's been since I put this band on any playlist, since I've listened to them, but I own a few of their albums. There's someone that I was really in the early 2000s, and that's the Japanese horror punk band Balzac. And on their 2005 album, Out of the Grave and Into the Dark, they had a track on there. It's the last track on the album, entitled Yami no Hikari-e. Now, I mentioned I mentioned some background on me, and I do speak a little Japanese. Took a 101 course at the local community college in my 20s. At the time I was into this band, I was also really into just Japanese culture in general. I took Shinkendo classes around this time, so Japanese swordsmanship. Uh, just really diving into all aspects of Japanese culture. And as part of that, I wanted to learn the language. And my goal at the time was actually to go to Japan and teach English. Not exactly on the table anymore, but I do want to go and finish learning Japanese as well as a few other languages. And I have my own personal reasons for that, mostly to do with what I'm doing with the books. But that phrase, Yami no Hikari-e, as I mentioned in the essay, I know what Yami means. That was one of my favorite kanjis back then, and it means darkness. In fact, I remember asking my Japanese 101 instructor the first time I ever saw the kanji what it meant, and he looked at me and went, "Oh, that's a foreboding one. You can tell because it's got the gates on it. And anything with the gates is either related to darkness or evil." And he informed me that I had shown him the kanji Yami, which means darkness, and that resonated with me. I That one stuck real hard, and I remembered from my 101 classes that no is the Japanese possessive. It shows ownership of a concept, or like that things are related in such a manner. And I know what Hikari is. I knew it in my core, but when it had that modifier A at the end of it, it did throw me seeing it written out. And so I couldn't, for the life of me, remember that Hikari means light. So what that translates to is roughly the light within the darkness, or moving from light, or from darkness to light. And while I touch more on the gradient side of things, the movement of darkness to light in the essay, at this moment and in this video, what I'd like to discuss is the other aspect of it, the light within the darkness. I've mentioned my life hasn't exactly been easy. And I've mentioned a couple times that I've spent a decent amount of time, several years, living out on the streets. How I managed to maintain sobriety during that, when everybody around me was turning to drugs to deal with the problems, I would I used to say I don't know, other than my core ethics wouldn't let me go that direction, even when I was being told there was more help if I was an addict. I couldn't do that to myself. I respected myself too much. And this was deep enough in my journey. I'd learned a very special skill. And to be honest, as I sit here now, I genuinely believe that that specific skill is why I survived and did not fall into addiction while I was out there. You see, I've been through a lot in my years, and if I focused on the negative things that have happened to me, I would be depressed all the time. I'd never get out of it. And that's not to say I don't slip once in a while and fall into a funk. That's not to say I don't have my moments when things get stressful that I just feel completely lost and upset and not sure what to do. But here's where it gets kind of wild for me. When I was out on the streets, the one thing I was always able to do was find a little piece of heaven in the hell that I was living in. I was surrounded by people doing drugs. There was violence. There was just some of the darker aspects of life out there. But that's also what everybody sees about the homeless situation, is the darker aspects of it. And the reality is, those people aren't homeless. They know where home is better than anybody else out there. They are unhoused. And the fact of the matter is, if you really look and listen to everybody's story, every single person you guys call homeless is truly a domestic refugee. Somebody that is trapped within their own country, but more or less, due to the system they're in, have been driven out onto those streets. And it doesn't seem right, it doesn't seem fair to vilify them. And so many forget that we are all one missed paycheck and one emergency from ending up out there if we don't have money stored up, and too many of us are living paycheck to paycheck. It's not easy things to think about. But the thing that keeps you from going insane in it is being able to find the beautiful moments. For me, this ranged. Sometimes I just go for a walk, get over to a park, sit for a bit. Some days I come up with some way to get something to use as bait, and sometimes that meant using my food stamps to buy some clams or some shrimp, rolling down to the pier and trying to catch fish with it. And I'll be honest, I didn't have much luck pier fishing. In fact, the only thing I ever caught was a good time, but those were some of my best days. Those were moments that I was able to find beauty in the absolute hell I was living in. And because I had that skill, it allowed me to be able to keep myself on the level when everybody around me was falling apart. And that's not a judgment. That's an observation. And there were others. I am speaking a bit hyperbolically in saying everyone around me falling apart. There was others, varying degrees, but I straight up got told by the homeless organizations out there that I fell in a category that they really didn't see hardly at all. If you understand the concept of a bell curve, when it came to homeless people, I fell in an outlier set, and I fell in an extreme outlier set, which meant there were no services, no resources for me. And unless I was willing to compromise my core values and put myself at risk, such as taking or developing an addiction, I couldn't get any help either. But I just kept doing what I was doing. I'd advocate for people out there. I stepped up for my block. I almost went to jail for the people out there because I believed that we deserved to have the community we'd built. That the rules were being enforced illegally and unfairly, as the ordinances hadn't even been implemented yet. They'd just been voted in, and yet we were being run out. as if those ordinances were already law. And it was hard to see. I took my stand, and I stand by my stand. But in the end, there was always beauty to be found out there. It was on the streets that I learned I'm not a bad artist. I'm actually pretty good at sketching things. And yeah, it's a little abstract, and it's kind of like a combination of comic art and sketch art combined, but it ends up telling so much of a story, not only in what is there, but what isn't. And I learned that I had that ability out there. I learned the true strength of my soul. I learned I was capable of thriving in chaos and being the stable function when everything else was falling apart. Those aren't easy skills to learn, and it all goes back to the fact that I could see the light in the darkness, that I was the light in the darkness. I don't regret the things that I've been through in my life, not a one of them. In fact, I'm able to go back and find the beauty in all of it. And I hope you guys are able to do the same. Remember, when you're surrounded by darkness, Yami no Hikari-e, find the light in the darkness. Because the light that exists within the darkness is the most beautiful. I'd like to thank you guys for taking some time to view yet another mini lecture. I think when I hit that 20th one in a couple lectures, I might just have to do something special. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out as I go. But thank you. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, follow, subscribe, whichever platform you're viewing this on, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, or Facebook. Like, follow, subscribe, leave me a comment, tell me what you think. I want to know, because I'm genuinely curious to know how the message that I'm sharing is helping others in their lives. And I'd love to see that I have touched some lives out there. Thank you, and have a blessed day.